Some states have taken the coronavirus incredibly seriously, instituting closures of restaurants and bars, theme parks, concerts, all sorts of things like that. New York is obviously doing that. California has clamped down a lot. Some areas, like San Francisco, had, a total effective quarantine, at least for a period. Other states, by the way, have not really been doing much and have been resistant to make any sorts of changes that hypothetically could lead to frustration on the part of some of their population, or certainly could hurt tourism. Now, Florida is perhaps one of the best examples of that. I want you to take a look at a comparison video. I saw this on Morning Joe, and it's a bit of Paris, which is locked down, and Clearwater, Florida. Take a look at this.
On the left, Paris, France yesterday, one of the world's most visited cities, turning into a virtual ghost town. The entire country currently under lockdown. And then on the right, the beaches of Clearwater, Florida, clearly in the throes of spring break, with people who are not listening to the severe warnings that scientists and doctors from the highest levels of government are trying to send them.
So, you saw that video. Now, bear in mind, the video from Clearwater supposedly comes from yesterday, at most 48 hours ago. That's going to be important as we go forward, because there are going to be some people in Florida government who are denying that that sort of thing still existed in the past few days. But you see, France, which has been hit hard by coronavirus, has a lot of cases, a lot of deaths, taking it very seriously. Paris is effectively a ghost town. It's much like some of the video you've probably seen of Italy, by the way, where things are being just entirely shut down, and necessarily so, if they're going to flatten the curve, get a handle on this thing. But then there's all this spring break activity, and beaches are just packed, crowds of people. Now, I'll say the shot of Clearwater right there doesn't look as packed as some scenes from Florida beaches that I've seen, but still a lot of people. And whether because they don't think that this is actually a big deal, they don't trust the information they've been given about coronavirus, or possibly just because they already planned this vacation and they're not going to waste it, like they already have the flight and the hotel, I guess they're going to go through with it. They're going out there and, in theory, possibly risking contracting coronavirus. And the thing is, up until literally today, Florida's governor, Ron DeSantis, he didn't want to make any big changes. I mean, look, if the CDC is making these recommendations of crowd sizes, he might go along with that, but he wasn't doing anything. Now, thankfully, as of this morning, we have seen a shift in that. And so here is Ron DeSantis on Fox and Friends.
Have decided to close their beaches to groups, but at the same time, you're not closing the state beaches to groups of less than 10, right?
So the message, I think, for spring breakers is that the party's over in Florida. You're not going to be able to congregate on any beach in the state. Many of the hot spots that people like to go to, whether it's Miami Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Clearwater Beach, are closed entirely for the time being. The bars are closed, so you're not going to have a place to congregate there. So we would just tell those folks, maybe come back next year when things are better. But that is not what we're looking for here in the state of Florida. Every single beach will have to abide by the CDC guidelines. No more than 10 people. You have to be socially distant. Not every beach is going to remain open, but some will. We have sheriff's deputies in places like Brevard County. They're going to be out on ATVs, making sure there's no groups.
Okay, so that's Ron DeSantis. That's Fox and Friends. And so he's saying, yes, these big crowds on beaches are finally going to end. And I guess we should be happy. We should, thank him for finally being reasonable, in light of what we're facing. It's Thursday today, right? I don't know. I'm in quarantine. It's hard to know. It's Thursday. They should have done this days and days ago. And look, anything's better than nothing, I suppose. But that is days where it's not irrational to think that people might have congregated on those beaches, go into the bars, and maybe contracted something. And when we're trying to limit the spread, that might have given it just enough time to be worse than it could have been. And he goes on to say in that video, by the way, that the video you've been seeing, people have been spreading around video. He's not talking about the Morning Joe one in particular, but he's saying video that's been spread. That's from Saturday. That's before the CDC really clamped down supposedly on the crowd size. And I get why he would say that. He's probably being criticized quite a bit from being one of the most recalcitrant governors in dealing with COVID-19, but it's just not true. We showed you that video. That video is from 30 hours ago. That is not from Saturday. That is after the CDC kept clamping down from 500 to 250 to 50 to now it's something like 10 for gatherings. And so he's simply being completely dishonest there. I don't know for sure why. It could be that he's bought into the same sort of misinformation that's informed a lot of Donald Trump and Fox News commentary about this this pandemic. Maybe he just doesn't really take it seriously. Maybe he's worried about spring break. Maybe he wanted to get through as much of that as possible, make sure that the economic damage there in Florida wasn't worse. I don't know what his reasoning is, but I do know that he is, like Donald Trump, he is lying about his record on this issue. And of course, Fox and Friends, they weren't there to correct him. We're going to get to Fox and Friends in their own attempt to sort of reframe what they've been saying about this. But Ron DeSantis, he's effectively saying that some of these beaches are going to be shut down. Let's note that in that video, he did not say that they're all going to be shut down. And look, if you have people going around on ATVs and breaking up groups, okay, that's good. That doesn't mean that they're not still going to happen. And it's not to say that all of this is on him, but if he's been dragging his heels, if he's been lying up until now, how much faith do you have in him going forward? That Florida, which is not only a large population, but also, let's keep it real, it is an older population. On average, the population is older. It is likely that they're going to be hit harder than other states by coronavirus as it continues to spread. And he does not look like the right person to deal with that. He does not appear to be taking it seriously as of right now. Now, there are other states. I'm going to have to check in to see if maybe there's been progress today, but I know that Texas so far, another big state, quite Republican, not taking it very seriously. Like, this is a story that we've been talking about for weeks now, where Fox News and Donald Trump kept telling, week after week after week, kept telling their fans, don't take this seriously, it's just a hoax, it's not a big deal. And now some of them are starting to change their tune, but what do you know? Red states are slower to deal with this. And that's going to produce costs for their people, for their base. I worry about what the numbers could end up looking like. At some point, an analysis, a book they're gonna go back, they're gonna look at the numbers, and they're gonna break it down based on ideology, party ID. I guarantee there's gonna be an effect where more people are going to have suffered from this that identify as Trump supporters than not. Maybe we're not supposed to say that, but that's the way I see it.